All right, welcome back. We're talking about a lot of things, and a caller just brought up the fact that if we had heard anything about Louis St. Martin, a local attorney here, about a plane crash, and we have heard that. It is confirmed. And we'll have some details on that in a second. We'll pull up a picture from his website, too, and certainly there's just a lot of information. There you see Louis St. Martin, and all we can tell you at this point, and certainly, you know, keep in mind, very prominent part of this community. His roots stretch out all over the community, whether it's family, brothers, in-laws, friends. He was a big part of HTV in the early days with the Archie Phillips program. And matter of fact, he sponsored that whole program. So he was an integral part of this station in the early years. So his money has spread well into this parish to help for great causes. We all know that. He has been very generous with his money. He bought a new plane in Oregon. He bought it, not a new one, but he bought it from someone. It was new to him. And he crashed upon takeoff, and he was transported to by a California Oregon ambulance to Sutter Coast Hospital in Crescent City, and later taken to the Oregon Health and Science University in Portland. His injuries are considered life-threatening as of this newscast, and certainly, it's one of those shocking events that you hear about it. I first heard about it yesterday, which was Sunday, in case you're watching this on Tuesday morning replay, and you just go, God, it's sort of surreal when you hear something like that. But anyway, we'll continue to get information on that. Our thoughts are with his family and everyone that he's touched, his employees. I mean, that's what I try to portray on this show, that there's a lot more than a story. His wife, it's just, there's a lot of tentacles out there that it touches. So it's a community thing, and we hear of things. We don't always have to sensationalize things. We could be real about them. We could discuss them. We could talk about them. We could bring you the facts, and we're not hiding the facts. But certainly, it's not about the sensationalism of the crash. It's about the fact that we have a very genuine and generous person that's fighting for his life right now. And that's where I think we have to separate the sensationalism of an event with the actual news of an event. And it's always going to get a little blown out of proportion on any of these stories, because that's just the way our society works. Everybody adds a little bit to the story. So when we hear more and it's more factual, we'll bring it to you. Okay? HTV, welcome to the program. You're on. Go ahead, please.
Martin.
Good. How you doing tonight?
Well, I've been better. I've been worse.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's a sad and scary time in Thibodaux, and I live walking distance from downtown, so I'm a little too close to both these incidents.
Yeah.
And I have two boys that are 13 and 15, and they get a little annoyed because I tend to be not overprotective, but appropriately protective of them. I want to know where they're going to be, who they're going to be with. I want them to check in with me. And cases like this only emphasize the point I make with them, that I'm not overprotective.
Yeah.
That the world is a scary place. It's getting more dangerous, more scary. And, there used to be an old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And we've lost touch with that.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the days that even if there was a child around you that didn't belong to you, you kind of kept an eye out for them.
Mm-hmm.
It was just reflex. It was instinct.
Yeah.
Those days have long gone, and it started back when they coined the phrase latchkey kid. Back in those days when that came around, parents were way more cautious. Don't leave the house. Don't let anyone in. And we've become a little too comfortable with things. The world is a dangerous place.
Well, and I've always said it, the Mayberry days are over.
Yeah. We need to keep track of our kids, and a lot of times we get lulled into a false sense of security, and so do the kids, that they're more grown than what they are, and they cannot handle a situation like this. So we need to all bring our kids closer, keep a closer eye on them, not let this happen. And I have a solution for these people who do these horrible things to children. Alcatraz Island off of New York has been sitting dormant for how long? I say we go in there and make it just livable, make sure there's running water. These people don't need electricity. They don't need the benefits of all the comforts of life. And we just transport all these people that have been convicted of these kind of crimes onto Alcatraz. Okay? Let them live there. Let them work out their differences. Let them kill each other. Do a either twice a month or once a month food drop and medicine drop, and be done with them. If they kill each other off, then oh well. We don't have to deal with them, and they can't hurt anyone else.
And obviously, you're from Thibodaux.
Yes, I am.
And
I've been on the show there actually before.
There's a lot of great people that live in Thibodaux, and it's how. Speaking from your standpoint, did you ever think? And I'm sure Thibodaux's had some bad runs before. Houma's had some bad runs. Assumption's had some bad runs. Lafourche, everybody's had their bad runs. But do you ever remember that much news happening in 1 week?
Well, I'm not from Thibodaux originally. I moved here 26 years ago from California.
Right.
And I don't recall ever having this much happen in Thibodaux in the time that I've lived here, ever.
Yeah.
It's a shock to me.
I don't remember in 25 years of reporting. I was trying to think of that today. If I ever remembered, there've been big incidents, but not one after the other after the other.
That's why I stayed in Thibodaux, because it is a quiet, close-knit community. But we've got to start watching out, not only for our children and other people's children. We've got to start watching the people around us, watching them and getting to know them. And I said this recently when I called in. We need to embrace the people around us. We need to become a village again. Know who's around you, know who's supposed to be around you, so that you'll know when there's somebody there that shouldn't be. And then sometimes maybe we'll be able to see this coming, and we need to all stop doing the, oh, it's not my business, I'm going to stay out of it. No, we need to be more involved in other people's lives.
You're
be
right.
aware.
It is your business.
Yes, it is. It's everyone's business, because this is what happens. You know, people are allowed to wander off by themselves and become whatever this man is, and then we suffer for it. So be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of the people around you, no matter where you are. And there's safety in numbers. My two boys, my 15-year-old's a police explorer, but even him I keep an eye on. But most of the time if they go somewhere, it's together, because there's safety in numbers. There should not be a 12-year-old child wandering around by themselves. It's not safe.
Well, and I got to say this, and I got to give my mom a lot of credit, too. She used to ask me everywhere I was going.
Yep.
And look, like any teenager, I was quite annoyed.
Yeah.
But I'm glad now.
Yeah, exactly.
She asked me everything.
Mine are the kind of teenagers that you kind of surprised to run into these days, because they're polite and they're respectful and somewhat responsible, even though they're teenagers. And that's why I keep an eye on them, because I want to keep them that way. I want them to be productive members of society. I want them to look out for people around them. And that's what even about bullying. I tell them, if you go to school and you see some poor kid being bullied, stand up for him. Right. Stand up for him, because if he's on his own, he doesn't have a chance. But if he's got somebody backing him up, the bully's not going to want to deal with a group of people any more than a pedophile's going to want to deal with more than one child.
Right.
Stick together.
Good point.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
HTV, welcome to the program tonight. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm catching the show late right now.
Go ahead and put your TV or your computer on mute for me, and just talk in the phone, please.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out, was the little boy by himself?
From everything that I've read, and strictly I'm going by the press release from the police department, I don't think so.
Are there no parents?
And I should not say I don't think so, because the truth is I really don't know. The strictly it was on the press release. The rape occurred in the men's restroom of Burger King on East 1st Street in Thibodaux. The juvenile victim was transported to Thibodaux Regional Medical Center by his parents, and later transported to Children's Hospital in New Orleans, where a rape kit was performed on the victim. The victim was treated and released, and detectives got a description from the young boy, and a warrant was secured for the arrest of Terry Joseph Sanchez, 51 of Cherry Street, and he's out on $250,000 bond. That is all they have released at this point.
Wow.
And, you know, and I'm sure details will come out, but one thing, that especially after the case last week involving the young juvenile, information is going to be a little scarce until it starts coming out in a little more methodical nature and not so quickly as it did on the last one. You know, so, but, you know, I think about it, and I thought about it this morning. I have a nephew who just turned 13, so he was 12. So I sort of picture his age, and I know my brother sort of always knows where he's at, and my sister-in-law, they always know where he's at.
Right.
And I would assume, because I don't have anything else to go by, that the parents, if they were taking him to the hospital and everything else, there's obviously some parents involved here. So I can't place any blame on the parents until I know the facts. But
Right.
I would assume that they were somewhere near or around the young boy, but I don't have facts on that.
Right. Well, I'm just saying that because you go to Burger King or McDonald's, sometimes there's just a bunch of kids hanging around.
That's true. That is
with no adult supervision.
Yeah, and I mean, you can go in the mall. You can go anywhere and see kids just being dropped off.
Right, dropped off.
But then again, there's part of our society that says, I want to know everything you're doing, who you're hanging out with, who's the parents of who you're hanging out with, where you're going to be at 11 o'clock. If you're sleeping at their house, you call me before you go to bed and let me talk to the parents.
That's it.
And then there's the other half. Not half, I don't know if it's half or not, that says, you know what? And I got to say this because I got to be honest. I don't really want to take care of you. I'm tired. You've driven me crazy all these years. I'm just going to go drop you off somewhere, and I'll see you when I see you. Now, that is a part of our society that we have to deal with.
Unfortunately, it is.
And who pays the price for it? It's a clash of the societies. It's happened in many, many communities. It's happening here more than it's ever happened before, but it's happening across the U.S. more than it's ever happened before. So let's not kid ourselves. It ain't just Thibodaux.
No.
It's in Houma. It's in Assumption. It's everywhere. It's in Lafourche, Lower Lafourche. It's in California. You can't hide from it, because you know, if you want to get me on the pulpit tonight, I can tell you a lot of reasons why. I think, one, we've sort of taken God out of everything, and so as a government, they've tried to take God out of everything.
I agree.
You can't even pray in your schools without getting slapped on the wrist by the government. And I'm going like, you know what? I'm to the point, if you want to pray in school, you pray in school. And if a community, look, if this would happen in Houma, Thibodaux, or any of the viewing area of HTV, and they lead a prayer in a public school, and somebody tries to stop that prayer, if we don't have 100,000 people back in that school, we wouldn't have one. I really think it'd be the biggest crowd ever, because people around here like to pray, and they want God in their lives.
Right.
But somehow the government has sneaked in and pulled it out. And that's a problem.
And that's what's wrong with this world right now.
No more morals.
No more.
No more. But I mean, but a lot of families still do it right, thank God.
Right.
A lot of them still do it right.
Thank you very much.
All right, but thank you for calling. Jay, do I have to take a break? All right, let me take another phone call, and then we have to go to a break. HTV, welcome to the program. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Mr. Martin.
How you
this
doing?
is Tammy. Doing okay. I'm calling in, first of all, regarding Jordy. What gets me is the mother, okay, they knew he had a mental condition. He's been institutionalized before. So, and the little boy, being with the disabled that he is, the mom was taking care of a disabled person, from what I'm understanding. And what gets me is they have places here that, you know, she could have been sitting in for her own child and getting paid to do it instead of being taking care of another disabled person. They have places here that will help you. And what gets me is a lot of, like the caller earlier saying about, you know, the teddy bears and stuff. Well, we don't know what's going on in that house. You know, you saying that we want to bring, everybody wants to bring bears and balloons and all now that he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't know what was going on in the house. I didn't even know the little boy.
Right.
And, I mean, that's another thing. You know, neighbors these days stick to themselves a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's some of them, the daddy, to me, I don't care if he had a mental problem. That does not make for them to say he doesn't go to the death penalty.
Right. Oh, I agree.
And you know, I mean, just because he has a mental condition, I heard that he had a prescription, he took it, then he didn't refill the next prescription. I just feel like that. I don't want to feel like I'm pushing it on the mom because my heart goes out to her. What I don't understand is all the warrants or whatever she had that wanted him to stay away from the house, the protective orders. You know, why did she have him in that house? And, you know, why did she leave him with the daddy? That's what I don't get. So if she knew all of this was going on, then she's involved also.
Well, and that's your opinion. You know, a lot of people have different opinions on it. But you're right. The point you make that I think is the most prevailing is we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. So we don't, in order for me, I can let people talk and I can let people vent, but I can't tell you what went on behind those closed doors because I don't know. I have no idea. That maybe she was out of the house because she was scared to death of him. But then you're right. She allows him back into the safe confines of her house for whatever reason. Maybe it was because she was codependent on him. Who knows what took place? But the fact is that he was in the house and he committed the heinous crime, and a lot of this we'll never know because we weren't behind those doors ourselves.
Exactly, and the same thing behind the doors of Burger King.
Mm-hmm.
We can go up in there, but when, you know, I feel like if my child goes to the bathroom or, you know, a grandbaby or whatever, you know, even if they're 13, you know, I mean, I'm going to make sure if they don't come out, I'm going to go make sure. I watch them walk to the bathroom and watch them walk back, you know, and watch who may be going in behind them. Now, to me, somebody could have or should have heard something, it seems like.
Well, you said something, who goes in behind them. Maybe the parents ought to go in to see who's in there before them.
Well, yeah, that's true, too.
Yeah.
That is true, too.
So, I mean, maybe you need to check both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just, Thibodaux is just, you know, it's not a big town, you know, small little city, but I just don't know what's going on today in the world today, and all of this happening all at one time down here when normally it's quiet.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. I mean, it's like, man, when will this stuff stop?
Really, I just feel like, you know, you could be my best friend sitting on the side of me, but I don't know who you know, I know you, but then I don't know the other side of you.
Right.
It could be a family member. The same thing. I know you. You've never been convicted of anything, you know, but I don't know the other side of you either.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that's the scary part of this is that, yeah, how many times have you heard after a crime like this, people go, well, I never suspected that.
Exactly.
You know, you don't know sometimes.
Right. That's why, you know, even nowadays, leaving your kids, you know, behind, not a good idea.
Yeah.
If you have these kids, you know, you have them to raise, take them with you, you know, where you got to go. And another thing, you know, he, Jordy's father, you know, they brought him into this world. Jordy's father took him out, and it was not his place to take Jordy out this world.
Right. That's absolutely true.
You know, I can't imagine any parents birthing a child and then turning around and taking him out this world.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate
Thank you,
your
Mr.
call.
Morton.
Thank you for calling today.
Okay, bye-bye.
HTV, welcome to the program. You're on. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, you got me, Martin.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like that little boy in Thibodaux, Jordy, when you first brought it on the air about hearsay and all that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, all the hearsay is coming from death row, if you ask me. And you got all these people on death row, and none of them being executed.
Mm-hmm.
So if they found guilty about it, the jury should determine if they're going to get the injection, electric chair, or a hangman noose or one of them, within 6 months of being convicted, putting on death row.
Yeah. Well,
And
if you
that.
lived in Texas, you'd be going pretty quick.
Well, yeah, they need to enforce that some kind of way. That's like the prayer in the school. They want to take the prayer out of school. But the federal government works for the people. The people don't work for federal government. The people need to stand up and say something.
I've been preaching that for years, but it doesn't seem like enough people stand up and scream. But I promise you that if some of these schools prayed and the ACLU or the federal government came in and tried to stop them, I don't think there's enough law enforcement to stop the people from gathering around here.
But somebody need to band together and make a Jordy law. They convicted within 6 months on death row, give them the shot or the electric chair.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, unfortunately, that thing's going to get tied up in Louisiana court, and it's going to be years before that happens.
But that's what I want to call in about that death row. That's a bunch of bull crap. They keep them up there 6 to 8 years, and none of them getting executed.
Well, we appreciate your thoughts for sure.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Bye-bye. Jay, you were trying to... Okay, we do need to take a break. We'll come back. More phone calls. A lot of people want to vent, want to talk about the situation that's going on. And when all else fails, don't forget, folks, prayer is not a bad thing. We'll be right back.